I woke up gasping, my heart hammering against my ribs like it was trying to break free. The world around me was wrong. Too vivid, too sharp, like I'd been dropped into a hyper-real dream. Yesterday, I was Ethan Carter, a college student in Chicago, binge-watching sci-fi and stressing over finals. Now, I was sprawled in a damp alley, my body smaller, frilier, and thrumming with a strange, primal fear I couldn't name. The air stank of rust and rotting garbage. My hands, trembling, weren't mine. They were pale, delicate, almost boyish. I stumbled to a cracked mirror leaning against a dumpster. The face staring back was young, maybe 17, with wide blue eyes and tousled blonde hair. I touched my cheek, and the stranger in the reflection mimicked me. Panic clawed at my throat. This wasn't a dream. I'd been thrown into another life, another world, one that felt alien and hostile. A sharp scent hit me, musky and commanding, making my knees buckle. I didn't know how I knew, but my new body screamed alpha, a word that carried weight here, heavy with power and danger. Footsteps echoed down the alley. My pulse spiked. I ducked behind the dumpster, heart racing as 3 figures approached, their voices low and menacing. Omega scent, one growled. Fresh. Unclaimed. The word Omega sank into me like a blade. That's what I was now. Prey in a world that hunted people like me. This wasn't Chicago. This was a brutal, hierarchical America, split into alphas, betas, and omegas, where omegas were little more than property, coveted, controlled, or worse. I'd read enough dystopian novels to recognize the stakes, but living it was a nightmare. My new body, this omega body, was a magnet for trouble. I could feel it in the way my skin prickled, the way my instincts screamed to run. But where? I had no memories of this boy's life, no clue who he was or where to go. The footsteps stopped. A shadow loomed over the dumpster. Come out, little Omega. A voice sneered, dripping with malice. My stomach twisted. I pressed myself against the cold metal, praying they'd leave. They didn't. A hand grabbed my arm, yanking me into the open. I hit the ground hard, pain shooting through my knees. 3 alphas towered over me, their eyes glinting with hunger. Pretty one, the leader said, his grin feral. You'll fetch a good price. I scrambled back, my mind racing for a way out. I wasn't Ethan Carter anymore, not really. I was this boy, scared, defenseless, and marked by a biology I didn't understand. But I wasn't going down without a fight. I grabbed a broken bottle from the ground, brandishing it like a weapon. The alphas laughed, unfazed. Feisty, one said. That'll make breaking you fun. Before I could swing, a new scent hit me. Different, warmer like cedar and storm clouds. A figure stepped into the alley, broad-shouldered and radiating power. Another alpha. My heart sank. I was done for. But then he spoke, his voice low and steady, cutting through the tension like a knife. Back off. He's mine. The words hit me like a shockwave. Mine. They were possessive, territorial, but there was something else in his tone, something protective. The alphas froze, sizing up the newcomer. He was tall, maybe 20, with sharp green eyes and dark hair falling over his forehead. His presence was commanding, but not cruel. Caleb, the leader, spat. You're out of your depth. This Omega's unclaimed. Not anymore, Caleb said, stepping closer. His gaze flicked to me, and for a split second, I saw something soft in his eyes, concern, maybe even fear. Walk away, or I make you. The air crackled with tension. I clutched the bottle tighter, my body screaming to trust this stranger, even as my mind rebelled. Alphas didn't protect Omegas, not in this world. They own them. Yet Caleb stood between me and the others, unflinching. The leader sneered but backed off, muttering curses. This isn't over, Caleb. They retreated, leaving me alone with my unlikely savior. I didn't lower the bottle. Who are you? I demanded, my voice shaking. And why the hell did you say I'm yours? Caleb's lips twitched, almost a smile. You're welcome, by the way. He stepped closer, and I flinched, but he stopped, hands raised. I'm not going to hurt you. I am Caleb. And you're what, lost? You smell like an Omega who doesn't know his place in this world. I don't have a place, I snapped, the truth spilling out before I could stop it. I don't even know who I am. My voice cracked, betraying the fear I'd been holding back. Caleb's expression softened, and he crouched to my level, his scent calming despite my instincts screaming to run. You're in Blackwood, Oregon, he said, and you're an Omega in a world that's not kind to your kind. Stick with me, and I'll keep you safe. For now. For now. I echoed, suspicious. What's the catch? No catch, he said, but his eyes held secrets. Just don't run off. You won't last a day out there alone. I didn't trust him, not yet. But I had no choice. The alley was cold, the world was cruel, and Caleb was the only thing standing between me and whatever those alphas had planned. Fine, I muttered, but don't think I'm yours. He chuckled, low and warm. Fair enough. What's your name? I hesitated. The boy in the mirror wasn't me, but I had nothing else. Ethan, I said finally. It felt like a lie, but it was all I had. Caleb nodded, like he knew I was holding back. Come on, Ethan. Let's get you somewhere safe. He led me out of the alley, into a world I didn't understand. A world of alphas and omegas, where survival meant navigating a brutal hierarchy. I didn't know why Caleb had saved me or what he wanted, but one thing was clear. I wasn't in Chicago anymore. And in this cruel world, Caleb Reed was my only lifeline. As we walked, the forest loomed around Blackwood, its shadows swallowing the town. My new body felt fragile, but something inside me, Ethan Carter, the guy who'd faced finals and heartbreak and late-night pizza runs, was still there, fighting to survive. I glanced at Caleb, his jaw set, his eyes scanning the darkness. He was an alpha, but he wasn't like the others. At least, I hoped he wasn't. Caleb's safe house was a small cabin on the edge of Blackwood, tucked deep in the pine forest where the town's lights barely reached. The air inside smelled of wood smoke and coffee, a stark contrast to the alley stench. My body still buzzed with adrenaline, every creak of the floorboards making me jump. I sat on a worn couch, clutching a mug of tea Caleb had handed me, my eyes darting to the door. Trust was a luxury I couldn't afford. Not when I was an Omega in a world that saw me as prey. Caleb leaned against the counter, watching me with those piercing green eyes. You're not going to bolt, are you? He asked, his voice calm, but laced with something heavier, worry maybe. Because out there, you're a target. I'm not an idiot. I shot back, though my voice wavered. But I don't know you. Why should I believe you're any different from those creeps in the alley? He sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. You don't have to believe me. Just stay alive long enough to figure it out. He moved to a chair across from me, keeping his distance like he knew how skittish I was. Look, Ethan, I get it. You're scared. You don't know this world. But I'm not your enemy. Then what are you? I asked, gripping the mug tighter. You're an alpha. You said I was yours. That's not exactly comforting. His jaw tightened, and for a moment I thought I'd pushed too far. But then he leaned forward, elbows on his knees, and his voice softened. I said that to get them off your back. Alphas don't challenge a claim unless they're ready to fight. It's how this world works. He paused, his eyes searching mine. I don't own you, Ethan. Nobody should. His words hit me harder than I expected. In this body, this life, I felt like a thing to be claimed, not a person. Caleb's refusal to play that game sparked something in me. Hope, maybe, or the ghost of who I used to be. But I wasn't ready to let my guard down. So what's your deal? I asked. Why risk your neck for a random Omega? He hesitated, like he was weighing how much to tell me. Let's just say I know what it's like to be on the wrong side of this world's rules. He stood, grabbing a blanket from a shelf and tossing it to me. Get some rest. We'll talk more tomorrow. Sleep was the last thing I wanted, but exhaustion won. I curled up on the couch, the blanket smelling faintly of him, cedar and storm clouds. My dreams were a mess of memories that weren't mine. A boy running through Blackwood streets, hiding from alphas, his heart pounding with the same fear I felt now. I woke with a start, sunlight streaming through the cabin's windows. Caleb was already up, frying eggs in the tiny kitchen. Morning, he said without turning. You talk in your sleep. I flushed, sitting up. What did I say? Something about Chicago and finals. He glanced at me, curious. You from there? My stomach dropped. I hadn't meant to let that slip. I don't know, I lied. It's fuzzy. How could I explain I was a college kid from another world, reincarnated into this nightmare? He'd think I was crazy. Caleb didn't push. Instead, he slid a plate of eggs and toast in front of me. Eat. You're too skinny for an omega. People will notice. I bristled at the comment, but took the food. As I ate, he explained Blackwood's rules. Alphas ran everything. Businesses, law, even families. Omegas were rare, valuable, and powerless, often bonded to alphas against their will. Betas filled the gaps, neither hunted nor revered. It's a messed up system, Caleb said, his voice bitter. But it's all most people know. Then why stay? I asked. Why not leave? He laughed, but it was hollow. Leave to where? The whole country's like this. Blackwood's just a small slice of hell. He leaned back, studying me. But you're different. You don't act like other Omegas. You've got fight in you. I didn't know how to respond. The Ethan from Chicago was a fighter, sure, but this body felt like a cage. I don't want to be anyone's property, I said finally. Good, Caleb replied, because I'm not looking to own anyone. That day, he taught me the basics of survival in Blackwood, how to mask my Omega scent with herbs, how to move through the town without drawing attention. He gave me clothes, his oversized but better than the rags I'd been wearing. Every moment with him felt like a tightrope walk between trust and suspicion. He was kind, but he was still an alpha, and my instincts wouldn't let me forget it. By evening, we ventured into town. Blackwood was a mix of rustic charm and underlying menace, its streets lined with old brick buildings and suspicious eyes. Alphas stared as we passed, their scents making my skin crawl. Caleb stayed close, his presence a shield. At a market stall, he bartered for supplies, his voice steady but his hand never far from the knife at his belt. That's when I saw it, a poster on a lamppost offering a reward for a missing Omega. The sketch was crude, but the blue eyes and blonde hair were unmistakable. Me, my heart sank. Caleb, I whispered, nodding at the poster. He cursed under his breath. We need to move. Now. We slipped into an alley, but it was too late. A group of alphas blocked our path, the same ones from the night before. Their leader smirked, cracking his knuckles. Told you it wasn't over, Caleb. The alley closed in around us, the air thick with the alpha's aggressive scents. My body reacted before my mind could, a wave of fear making my legs tremble. Caleb stepped in front of me, his stance protective but tense. Stay behind me, Ethan, he murmured, his voice steady despite the odds. 3 against 1, and I was useless, a liability in a fight I didn't understand. You're making a mistake, Caleb, the leader said, his eyes gleaming with malice. Hand over the Omega, and we'll let you walk. Caleb's laugh was sharp, defiant. You think I'm scared of you, Vance? Touch him, and you'll regret it. Vance's smirk faltered, but he didn't back down. Big words for a lone alpha. You can't protect him forever. He lunged, faster than I expected, his fist aimed at Caleb's jaw. Caleb dodged, grabbing Vance's arm and twisting it behind his back in one fluid motion. The other 2 alphas charged, and the alley erupted into chaos. I backed against the wall, my heart pounding as Caleb fought. He was fast, precise, but outnumbered. A fist caught his shoulder, and he grunted, staggering. My instincts screamed to run, but I couldn't leave him, not after he'd saved me. I grabbed a loose brick from the ground and hurled it at one of the alphas, hitting his shoulder. He snarled, turning on me, but Caleb tackled him before he could reach me. Ethan, go, Caleb shouted, grappling with Vance. But I froze, caught between fear and loyalty. I didn't know this world, but I knew Caleb was risking everything for me. I couldn't abandon him. Vance broke free, landing a punch that sent Caleb crashing into a stack of crates. Blood trickled from his lip, but he was back on his feet in an instant, eyes blazing. Last chance, Vance, he growled. Walk away. Vance laughed, but it was cut short by a new sound, sirens. The alphas froze, their bravado fading. "This isn't over," Vance spat, signaling his crew to retreat. They vanished into the shadows as red and blue lights flashed at the alley's mouth. Caleb grabbed my hand, pulling me in the opposite direction. "We can't stay here," he said, his voice urgent. We ran through Blackwood's back streets, weaving past dumpsters and abandoned buildings until we reached the forest's edge. My lungs burned, but Caleb didn't slow until we were deep in the trees, hidden by the darkness. We collapsed against a moss-covered rock, both of us panting. Caleb wiped the blood from his lip, his eyes meeting mine. "You okay?" he asked, his voice softer now. I nodded, though my hands were still shaking. "You didn't have to do that," I said. "You could have gotten hurt." He shrugged, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Couldn't let them take you. Besides, I'm tougher than I look." I wanted to laugh, but the weight of the moment crushed it. "Why are you doing this?" I asked. "You don't even know me." Caleb looked away, his expression unreadable. "Maybe I see something worth saving." He stood, offering me his hand. "Come on, we're not safe yet." We trekked deeper into the forest, the night alive with the sounds of crickets and rustling leaves. Caleb led me to a hidden cave, its entrance masked by vines. Inside, it was dry and surprisingly warm, with a small stash of supplies, blankets, and food, a lantern. "My backup spot," he explained. "No one knows about it." I sat on a blanket, my mind racing. "Those posters are looking for me." "What?" Caleb lit the lantern, casting a soft glow over his face. "You're an unclaimed Omega. That makes you valuable. Blackwood's elite pay a fortune for Omegas they can bond and control. Those alphas? They're just the muscle. Someone higher up wants you." A chill ran through me. "But I don't even know who I am," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "I woke up in that alley, and everything's wrong." Caleb's eyes narrowed, like he was piecing something together. "You're not from here, are you?" he asked. "Not just Blackwood. This world." I froze. He couldn't know, could he? But the way he looked at me, like he saw through the boy I'd become, made my defenses crumble. "I don't know how to explain it," I admitted. "I was someone else. Somewhere else. And now I'm here, in this body, with no idea why." To my surprise, Caleb didn't laugh or call me crazy. He just nodded, like it wasn't the strangest thing he'd heard. "This world's full of things that don't make sense," he said. "But you're here now, Ethan, and I'm not letting you face it alone." His words stirred something in me, a warmth I hadn't felt since waking up in this nightmare. For the first time, I let myself believe he might be different. Not just an alpha, but someone I could trust, maybe even rely on. We spent the night in the cave, talking in hushed tones. Caleb told me about Blackwood's underbelly, the black market for Omegas, the corrupt alphas who ran the town, the resistance groups fighting for change. He was part of one, a small band of alphas and betas trying to protect Omegas from being sold or bonded against their will. "It's not much," he said, "but it's something." I told him what I could about my old life, leaving out the reincarnation part. It felt good to talk, to anchor myself to the Ethan I used to be. Caleb listened, his eyes never leaving mine, and for a moment, the world didn't feel so cruel. But dawn brought reality crashing back. We couldn't stay hidden forever. The posters, the alphas, the elite hunting me. They'd find us eventually. And Caleb, for all his strength, was just one man against a system built to break people like me. Morning light filtered through the cave's entrance, painting the walls in soft gold. I woke to find Caleb already up, sharpening a knife with steady, deliberate strokes. His face was grim, the weight of our situation etched into the lines around his eyes. I wanted to ask what came next, but the truth was I was terrified of the answer. Blackwood wasn't just a town, it was a trap, and I was the bait. "We need a plan," Caleb said, not looking up. "The elite won't stop. Those posters mean someone's desperate to find you." I pulled the blanket tighter around me, my Omega instincts making me feel small, exposed. "What do they want with me?" "I am nobody." He stopped sharpening, his gaze meeting mine. "You're not nobody, Ethan. You're an unclaimed Omega with no ties, no family to protect you. That makes you a blank slate for someone powerful to mold or break. The words hit like a punch. I wasn't just a person anymore. I was a commodity. My old life as Ethan Carter, with dreams of graduating and maybe traveling the world, felt like a cruel joke. So what do we do? I asked, hating how helpless I sounded. Caleb sheathed the knife, his expression softening. We find out who's behind the posters. My contacts in the resistance might know something. But it's risky. We'll have to go back into town. The thought of facing Blackwood again made my stomach churn, but Caleb's steady presence grounded me. Okay, I said, but I'm not sitting on the sidelines. I want to help. He raised an eyebrow, a faint smile breaking through. You're stubborn. I'll give you that. Just don't do anything stupid, all right? We left the cave at midday, sticking to the forest until we reached Blackwood's outskirts. Caleb gave me a scarf soaked in herbs to mask my scent, but I still felt exposed, like every alpha in town could sense me. We slipped into a run-down diner, where a beta woman named Lila waited, a resistance member, according to Caleb. She was wiry, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense attitude. Word spreading about you, Lila said, sliding a coffee across the counter. The posters are from Marcus Kane, an alpha councilman. He's got a reputation for collecting omegas. Says it's for protection, but everyone knows he bonds them for power. My blood ran cold. What does he want with me? Lila shrugged. Could be your scent, your looks, or just bad luck. Kane's got a nose for rare omegas. You're probably a prize he can't resist. Caleb's hand tightened on his mug, his knuckles white. We're not letting him near Ethan, he said, his voice low and dangerous. What do you know about his operation? Lila leaned in, her voice dropping. Kane's at a compound outside town. High security, alphas on payroll. He's hosting a gala tomorrow night. Big players, lots of omegas on display. If you're going to find answers, that's your shot. A gala, I said, incredulous. Like some fancy party? More like a market, Lila said grimly. They dress it up, but it's where omegas get sold or bonded. If Kane's after you, he'll be there. Caleb's eyes met mine, a silent question in them. I nodded, my resolve hardening. I'm in, I said. I need to know why he's hunting me. The plan was reckless. Infiltrate the gala, find evidence of Kane's operation, and get out before anyone noticed. Lila gave us fake IDs and clothes to blend in. Me as a beta server, Caleb as a low-ranking alpha guest. The disguise felt flimsy, but it was our only shot. That night, back at the cave, Caleb and I prepared. He taught me how to move like a beta, to keep my eyes down and my scent hidden. Every brush of his hand as he adjusted my scarf or fixed my jacket sent a jolt through me, my omega instincts reacting to his alpha presence. I hated it, hated how this body betrayed me, how it wanted to lean into him when my mind screamed to stay sharp. You're nervous, Caleb said, catching my gaze. We were sitting by the lantern, the cave quiet except for the distant hoot of an owl. Wouldn't you be? I shot back. I'm walking into a lion's den, pretending to be something I'm not. He reached out, his hand hovering near mine before pulling back. You're not alone in this, Ethan. I've got your back. His words stirred that warmth again, dangerous and disarming. I looked away, my cheeks burning. Why do you care so much? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. You could walk away. Live your life. Caleb was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was raw. I had a brother, an Omega. He didn't make it in this world. I couldn't save him, but I can save you. The confession hung between us, heavy and intimate. I wanted to reach for him, to ease the pain in his eyes, but I didn't know how. Instead, I said, I'm not your brother, Caleb. I don't need saving. I just need someone to fight with me. He smiled, small and sad. Deal. The next night, we stepped into Kane's gala, the air thick with perfume and power. The mansion was opulent, all chandeliers and polished floors, but the Omegas in the room, dressed in silks, their eyes downcast, were prisoners in all but name. My heart pounded as I moved through the crowd, serving drinks, my scarf hiding my scent. Caleb stayed close, his alpha presence blending with the elite. Then I saw him, Marcus Kane, tall, silver-haired, with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He was watching me, like he knew exactly who I was. Kane's gaze cut through the crowd like a blade, pinning me in place. My tray of drinks trembled in my hands, but I forced myself to keep moving, blending with the other servers. Caleb was across the room, his eyes flicking between me and Kane, his jaw tight. We were in too deep to back out now. The gala was a glittering cage, and I was the prey Kane had set his sights on. I slipped into a hallway, needing a moment to breathe. The walls were lined with portraits of stern alphas, their eyes seeming to follow me. My Omega instinct screamed to run, but I couldn't, not when we were so close to answers. I found a door marked private and slipped inside, hoping for something, anything, that could tell me why Kane wanted me. The room was an office, all dark wood and leather. Papers were scattered across a desk, and I rifled through them, my heart racing. Most were invoices, meaningless numbers, but then I found a file with my face on it. Not the sketch from the posters, but a photo of the boy I'd become, taken before I'd woken up in his body. The file listed my stats: Omega, unclaimed, rare bloodline. A note in red ink read, priority acquisition for bonding. My stomach churned. This wasn't random. Kane had been tracking this boy long before I'd arrived in his body. But why? I stuffed the file into my jacket, my hands shaking. That's when the door opened. Kane stood there, his presence filling the room like a storm. "You're a curious one," he said, his voice smooth but cold. "I wondered when you'd show yourself, Ethan." I froze, my cover blown. "How do you know my name?" I demanded, clutching the file tighter. He stepped closer, his alpha scent overwhelming, making my knees weak. "I know everything about you. Your bloodline, your potential. You're the perfect Omega for my plans, a vessel for power, for legacy." His smile was predatory. "You can't run from what you are." Before I could respond, Caleb burst through the door, his knife drawn. "Get away from him," he growled, his eyes blazing with fury. Kane laughed, unfazed. "The rogue alpha. I should have known you'd be trouble." He snapped his fingers, and two guards appeared, their own knives glinting. The fight was brutal and fast. Caleb was a blur, disarming one guard and knocking the other out with a swift blow. But Kane was faster, grabbing me and pressing a blade to my throat. "Drop it, Caleb," Kane said, "or your Omega bleeds." Caleb froze, his knife clattering to the floor. His eyes met mine, and I saw the same fear I felt, fear of losing this fragile thing we'd built. But I wasn't helpless. Not anymore. I stomped on Kane's foot, using the distraction to elbow his ribs and break free. Caleb tackled him, pinning him to the ground. "Run, Ethan," Caleb shouted, struggling to hold Kane down. I hesitated, torn between escape and loyalty. But I couldn't leave him. I grabbed a heavy book from the desk and swung it at Kane's head, knocking him out cold. Caleb stared at me, panting, a mix of shock and admiration in his eyes. "Nice hit," he said. We didn't have time to celebrate. Alarms blared, and footsteps thundered toward us. Caleb grabbed my hand, and we ran, crashing through a window into the night. The forest swallowed us, branches tearing at our clothes as we fled. My lungs burned, but Caleb's grip kept me going, his warmth a lifeline in the chaos. We didn't stop until we reached the cave, collapsing in a heap. My heart was still racing, the file crumpled in my jacket. Caleb pulled me close, checking me for injuries. "You okay?" he asked, his voice rough with worry. I nodded, my throat tight. "You didn't have to come for me," I said. "You could have died." He cupped my face, his touch gentle but firm. "I told you, Ethan, I'm not letting you face this alone." In that moment, under the dim lantern light, something shifted. I saw him, not just as an alpha, but as Caleb, the man who'd fought for me, who'd seen me as more than an Omega. I leaned in, my lips brushing his tentative at first, then desperate. He kissed me back, his hands tangling in my hair, and for the first time since waking in this world, I felt whole. We pulled apart, breathless, the weight of our kiss hanging between us. "What now?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Caleb's eyes were fierce, determined. "We fight. We expose Cain, the council, all of it. We make this world better. For you, for every Omega." The file held the key, proof of Cain's trafficking ring, names of alphas involved, locations of other Omegas. We spent the night planning, contacting Lila and the Resistance. Days later, we leaked the evidence, sparking outrage in Blackwood. The Resistance grew, Omegas and Betas joining the fight. Cain's empire began to crumble, but the war wasn't over. Caleb and I stood together, hand in hand, as the world changed around us. I wasn't just an Omega, and he wasn't just an Alpha. We were partners, bound by something stronger than biology: love, trust, and a shared dream of a world less cruel. I didn't know why I'd been reborn here, but with Caleb by my side, I knew I'd fight to make it mean something.